to remove an article from the consent calendar, call out remove, and I will ask for a show of hands. If I see 5 hands, the article will be removed. Article 1, reports of boards and committees. The motion is in terms of the article. Article 2, transfer of funds, unpaid bills. The motion is to dismiss the article. Article 3, free cash, other post-employment benefits, OPEB. The motion is in terms of the article. I hear remove. Do I see 5 hands? I do see 5 hands, so Article 3 is removed, and we will get to that in its normal sequence. I will now accept a motion from the Select Board to move all remaining warrant articles included in the consent calendar of the November 2nd, 2015 special town meeting and the printed motions thereunder, and approve those articles not removed as a single unit. Select Board, someone should say so moved.
So moved.
Second.
And I hear a second. We will now come to an immediate vote without debate on the remaining consent calendar motions, which are under Articles 1 and 2. A majority vote is required for passage. All those in favor of moving the consent calendar articles, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. They have passed. We will now proceed to the reports that we just voted to hear under Article 1. We have 4 reports on the agenda for this evening. The Planning Board, the Amherst Public Arts Commission, the Public Transportation, Bicycle, and Pedestrian Commission, and the Town Meeting Electronic Voting Study Committee. The report of the Town Meeting Electronic Voting Study Committee is in the form of a demonstration, which will occur immediately after the committee member speaks to the motion under Article 5. The other 3 reports will happen now, so I now call on the Planning Board for their reports. And I assume somebody is here? Possibly not. So they weren't, Planning Board was on the list, weren't they? Okay. I think we're going to skip that one. So I now call on the Amherst Public Arts Commission, and that's Renee Taberge. Yes, actually, for these Article 1 reports, we always ask that they be as succinct and brief as possible, but we don't use a timer for these reports.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to present the work of the Public Art Commission over the last year. While the Commission is involved in several projects and collaborations, I'm going to focus on 3 major projects which have the common purpose of helping Amherst become more of an artistic and cultural center than it is at present. Let's start with our new online tour guide of all of Amherst's public art and art venues. This art tour, now available on the town's website, contains 59 locations with images and blurbs describing each artwork or art venue. Over the next year, we will be working to make it even more interactive with links to the artists' websites and other relevant information to enhance the user's experience of the art. One of our handouts on the back table, which some of you may already have seen, is just off the press. This shortened, downtown-focused version of the full online map. This map can be either downloaded from the town's website, or it will soon be found in various locations in downtown Amherst and at regional and state tourist centers. The Public Art Commission would like to extend its appreciation to Mike Olkin, GIS Administrator, for his patience and creativity in helping to create the online art tour, and to the Business Improvement District and Amherst Cultural Council for their financial support of the printed art guide. Our second project is creating a state-designated cultural district in downtown Amherst. A cultural district is a walkable, geographic area of a city or town with a concentration of cultural facilities and activities located within it. Creating a downtown cultural district in Amherst will give us access to state programs and resources such as a statewide and national marketing opportunities, programs for developing cultural economic development strategies, and cultural facilities planning and construction. In addition, direct funding for cultural districts from the state is just now starting to come through. Along with our partners, the Amherst Historical Society, the Amherst Cinema, the Jones Library, the Emily Dickinson Museum, the Mead Museum, the Business Improvement District, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Office of External Relations of UMass, the Public Art Commission will be submitting an application to the Massachusetts Cultural Council in December. And we anticipate approval in the spring of 2016. We've already had some discussions with them, and they're very much in favor of what we're trying to do. The last program I wanted to mention is our attempt to establish a Percent for Art program in Amherst. As many of you may know, it's now a well-accepted principle that public art can add enormous value to the cultural, aesthetic, and economic vitality of a community. Good local examples are East Hampton, Northampton, and Pittsfield. Public art, basically, is any art that takes place in the public sphere. The main issue with public art, of course, has always been how to pay for it, because art takes money. The Public Art Commission believes that it has found a way to help fund public art in Amherst, and it's called Percent for Art. If you've been to Philadelphia or Seattle or Chicago or Cambridge, you've probably seen the results. Percent for Art programs work like this. A municipality or a state passes a measure to set aside a percentage, usually 0.5 to 1.5% of the cost of a capital building or improvement project for art, usually at the project site. The measure generally states how to acquire public art, who decides what it is and where to place it, and what funds can be used for and what they can't be used for. There are lots of models for these programs out there because 27 states and more than 90 municipalities have Percent for Art programs today. Cambridge, for example, has funded more than 200 projects with their Percent for Art program since 1979. In the last week, the Massachusetts legislature passed a bill to establish a Percent for Art program for public art in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We're still waiting to see whether the governor will sign it. We have an opportunity now because while Amherst doesn't generate a lot of capital projects, it does currently have several capital projects on its radar screen over the next decade. The Public Art Commission intends to bring a warrant article proposing a Percent for Art program before town meeting in the spring for your consideration and hopefully for your approval. Right now, we're working on the details and policy issues involved. Amherst may not have all the old mill buildings as they do in East Hampton and Northampton, but we do have more than 2,100 artists living here in a cultural history and tradition that many towns would envy. Percent for Art funding could bring a new, exciting vibrancy, both aesthetic and economic, to our downtown. Please pick up one of the handouts on the table in the back, which will give you more information about this program. We'd also really like to hear from you what you think about this idea. What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? As we proceed to write this warrant article. We'll soon be adding a Facebook page with a link on the town website for your feedback, or send us an email at the address on the handout in the back table. We're just kind of giving you a little advance notice. We'll be coming in the spring, give you time to think about us and give us feedback. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. And now